Right when you think this video series is only about the coolest class in Dungeons and Dragons and only directed to people who are actually playing the fighter, I'm coming with a video directed at those precious few people who decided to pick up a support class, because these are my 3 favorite spells to cast on a fighter. But before I start, like always, if you like my videos, make sure to hit the thumbs up. If you really like my videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. And if you really like my videos and you want to see me continue what I'm doing right here, make sure to check out my Patreon page, where you can support me for as little as $1 a month, and you can even play with yours truly as your dungeon master. As you might know from my previous fighter videos, is that I always approach these tips and builds and tips and tricks from a level 5 to level 7-ish standpoint. And that is because, well, I want my tips and tricks to be as usable as possible. And I just think that most games are played around that level. Also, I think a character around level 5 to 7 reaches some of its most important potential in the game, but you're also not godly powerful. So the first spell I want to talk about is, for me personally, an absolute classic. I just need it to be in one of my party members' spell slots, spell lists, because it's an absolute classic and I like it when people cast it on me. And I'm of course talking about the classic Shield of Fate. It is just so freaking usable in game, and that's because, well, first of all, it's only a level 1 spell, which means that your cleric can cast it starting from level 1 and your paladin can start casting it from starting from level 2. So your cleric or your paladin on level 5, 6 only have to give up a level 1 spell slot to be able to cast this spell on you and give you 2 armor class more on top of your armor class you already have. And if you know 5th edition even a little bit, you know that armor class doesn't really scale that much in this game, and 2 armor class is a heck of a lot. On top of that, it's only a bonus action, which means that your cleric, let's say your cleric casts Shield of Fate on you as a bonus action, he only has to give up a level 1 spell slot, and he only has to give up a bonus action, which means he or she still has his or her main action to use as their action. On top of that, it is a ranged spell of 60 feet. Yes, you can cast this 60 feet away from you and give one of your party members 2 armor class more. And me, often playing fighter with 19, maybe 20 armor class at level 5, standing in the front line, I can appreciate it a lot when people cast this spell on me, because it just gives me that extra layer of confidence. For me, it's an absolute classic and it needs to be on your spell list if you want to be a great support character. The next spell is again a paladin slash cleric spell that demands a little more from the spellcaster than the previous spell Shield of Fate, and that is because, first of all, it's a 2nd level spell, and second of all, it uses up an entire action to cast. But then again, you get something very cool in return, and I'm of course talking about the great spell 8. Your spell bolsters your allies with toughness and resolve. Choose up to 3 creatures within range. Each target's hit points maximum and current hit points increase by 5 for the duration. And this lasts for 8 hours and is not in any way a concentration spell. So this makes for a very cool combination with Shield of Fate and 8 being in one list of, for example, a cleric. Just imagine yourself being a fighter and you're about to fight a big ass giant and you're about to get your ass kicked. Having a cleric behind you that first uses her bonus action to cast Shield of Fate on you, and then the next turn uses her action to cast 8 on you, having those 5 extra hit points and having 2 armor class extra can really mean the difference between living and dying. Also, it's worth stating that if your spellcaster uses a higher level spell slot, the amount of hit points you gain from it increased by 5 hit points per spell slot level. Then my absolute number 1 favorite spell to have cast on me as a fighter is absolutely, without any doubt, Haste. But be careful, because Haste is also a very dangerous spell if shit hits the fan. And the wizard in your party has to be at least level 5 to be able to cast this one on you. Choose a willing creature that you can see within range. Until the spell ends, your target's speed is doubled. It gains a +2 to armor class, it has advantage on dexterity saving throws, and it gains an additional action on each of its turns. That action can be used only to take the attack, dash, disengage, hide, or use an object action. I mean, the amount of stuff you gain from having this spell cast on you as a fighter is just completely amazing. First of all, you get the +2 armor class, the same as Shield of Fate, but well, in this spell it's just a little extra thing you get. You have advantage on dexterity checks. This is very important, especially when you're fighting dragons, because 9 out of 10 dragons demand you to make dexterity saving throws for their breath weapons, and fighters generally, strength-based fighters generally are not that good at dexterity saving throws, so having advantage on dex saves is really amazing. And you gain an additional action. You can use that to make a attack, you can use that to dash, you can use that to disengage, hide, or use an object. So in other words, you basically become the Flash. But then, and this is where stuff gets interesting, and this is where I've lost as a dungeon master. I've lost a player because I had a fighter that had stuff going on, a paladin I think that had stuff going on, and he cast haste on himself and he actually died from its after effects. When the spell ends, the target can't move or take actions until after its next turn, as a wave of lethargy sweeps over it. So this player had haste cast on him and he went absolutely berserk. He took every action, he took every bonus action. His action economy is the best I've ever seen with any character he plays, but when he played this paladin fighter hybrid thing that had haste on him, well, he basically became the Flash and started attacking and walking around and attacking, and they were fighting a dragon. But then suddenly the concentration weared off, the fight went on too long, and well, basically the haste spell ended on him, and this dragon had a free turn on him because he had to skip a turn. He couldn't dodge, he couldn't move, he couldn't take an action, he couldn't do anything, and he was on like 5 or 6 hit points or something. So I, as a dungeon master, hit him like 3 times with claw and bite attacks, and he got obliterated like it was nothing. So haste is a very powerful spell if you play it correctly, because be careful, because this concentration can wear off at any time, and basically, when it happens, you're screwed. So I want to know from you guys, what are your favorite support spells to cast on your fighter or on your barbarian or on any of your party members? Or what are your favorite spells you want people to cast on you as playing a fighter or a barbarian or maybe a rogue or a ranger or whatever? I hope this little list of mine helped you guys a little bit for deciding what spells to pick. Maybe you have a spell slot over and you don't really know what to pick. Maybe just pick a support spell, because you never know when the fighter in your party is going to get into trouble, because you want to keep him alive, because he can keep you alive. I hope your inspiration may guide you.